Welcome to episode 00 of OtakuInformers, episode 00 titled The Rise of the Informers. Hopefully this one we will rise fully, not just the head, and have a full episode that will be recorded and where no technical issues will happen, so that next week we can officially start with episode 1. So, first, we're gonna start with our two Otaku informers on the ground directly in Japan. How are you doing, Felipe?
Yes, I'm Felipe. I'm in Japan. I moved here about 6 months ago. Life's great.
Well, I love hearing that life's great, Felipe. I love seeing you happy. I wonder why. Wink, wink.
Many reasons.
And our second Otaku informer directly on the ground in Japan. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I've been here a little bit longer than Felipe. Still pretty good, pretty happy. Just got off like a 10-day vacation, so I'm happy. Going to work tomorrow, though. Yay!
Yeah. Well, tell us a bit for people which is 99.9%, who did not watch the first 15 minutes of our last episode 00. Tell us a bit about yourself, Felipe.
Well, I was born in Brazil. I moved to Canada from Montreal. That's where we all met. And now I'm in Japan, living the dream. Something about my half Japanese side, I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe I just want to be close to Akihabara, land of otaku. That's it.
You just sent an arrow right through my heart, because Akihabara is a place I dream to visit since I've been 13 years old or 14 years old.
Japan is opening up soon.
Well, since before we go to Matt, then I'll just follow up on what you just said, Felipe. I've known Felipe for over 10 years. I remember it was 2011, Otakutan 2011 in Montreal. And very happy that you achieved your dream. Me, I'm still stuck in Montreal, Canada. Not Montreal, whatever state it is. There's a Montreal somewhere in the US. And me, I am in a completely different time zone than our two Otaku informers on the ground. I am the Otaku abroad.
Ooh, good. I like that. Yeah.
All right. So, Matt, tell us. You said you've been living in Japan for longer than Felipe. How long have you been living in Japan for?
It's been 4 years now, so born and raised in Canada, moved around a lot. And then after university, I got the chance to move to Japan. So right away, I was like, okay, I'm going to take that chance. And then thankfully, everything has gone well. And I've been able to stay here for 4 years.
I do want to point out, I've known Felipe for over 10 years, but I just recently met Matt for the first time. And I always forget, I often ask you every time, where did you live and where were you born in Canada?
I was born in Calgary.
Okay.
Way over in Alberta. And then I've lived in New Brunswick, Ontario, Quebec, and in Alberta. I've been all over the place.
Sorry that I just texted my friend to check the stream to tell us in case there is any technical issues, but I checked, the stream is fine. I do want to follow up on that. No, I don't remember you telling me you were from Calgary. So you said, which university did you go to?
I went to Carleton. Carleton in Montreal.
Carleton, Montreal. I know there's in Ottawa there's a Carleton U, no? Or
Yeah,
just maybe
not Carleton. Oh my God, Concordia. Wow, that
I know where you studied better than you, and I've never met you in real life, man.
Wow. It's been a while since I graduated.
The reason why I knew is because I actually I'll take this opportunity to say where I'm from. I was born and raised in Algeria, and that's why if anyone is watching this, you're lucky because you'll get very different personalities on this podcast. Basically, I arrived in Canada at 18 and I lived for 2 years in Ottawa. And the first anime convention I've ever been to was Carleton, this very tiny anime con in Carleton in 2008 or 2009.
Okay.
And I cosplayed as Archer from Face the Night. I was already a Fate fan in 2008. So, all right. We've gotten to hear a bit about ourselves. There's actually a lot of news I want to talk to you to, which I'll introduce the show. The reason why we wanted to create this podcast just because Felipe moved to Japan so last October, right?
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been looking for opportunities to talk about geek stuff, otaku stuff, nerdy stuff with Felipe, and he suggested that he had a third person to suggest for the podcast, and I completely trusted your judgment, and I was not wrong, and you were not wrong, Felipe, because Matt is the perfect third wheel of the OtakuInformers.
Yeah.
So basically, me, as I always tell you guys, I'm really just doing this for fun. I don't care if no one ever watches us. There's only one thing that could get me to wake up early on a Sunday morning, because it's 8:30 a.m. in Montreal. What time is it in Japan?
It's 9:30
p.m.
PM.
In the future.
So basically, only one thing would get me to wake up on a Sunday, and it's to talk about otaku stuff. So let's get started. So first segment of the podcast will be, what have you been watching, guys? I'm gonna go, Felipe.
The mine, like as soon as I got back from a Golden Week vacation, I went to Tokyo for personal business. I got back to Sendai, and then I went to watch Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness with another friend, and oh my god, this is amazing.
Okay, Felipe, we have to save this conversation for next week because I'm watching it literally on Tuesday, and I do not want to know anything. I don't even want to know if it's good.
No
I'm gonna quote Sheldon from Big Bang Theory when he says, "I don't want my mind to be pre-blown. I want to go there with my. I don't want my mind blown. I don't want to know that my mind is going to be blown. I want to go there with my mind pre-blown." So that's a reference from Big Bang Theory that I like, where he's like, he doesn't even want to know if it's good, and I'm a very.
Don't worry. Opinions are very divisive, so you might hate it. So don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week.
Okay. So what else have you been watching, Felipe?
I'm going to start watch Spy Family, but I've been watching some like Netflix originals, like Young Enough, about these kids who are like.
You mean old enough?
They just do chores. I've been watching that. I've also been watching other like movies. I've been rewatching Agretzko, the Sanrio cute red panda, and still catching up on Yu Yu Hakusho for the 8th time on Netflix, just to practice more Japanese.
How is it called? The Red Panda anime?
Agretzko. It's a pun on the
Agretzko.
name. Aggressive Retsuko. It's her name.
I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget because you have recommended it many times, and I gotta check this out. It reminds me. Well, I don't know if you know my neighbors, the Yamadas. Was it that the Ghibli?
It's a Ghibli movie.
That was when I was young. It was the first Japanese anime that really had very Japanese humor, and it's really not for everyone. And it's like really like all jokes about cultural like it's about a family, right? And like a traditional Japanese family. So a lot of the jokes you don't really get them if you're a foreigner. And I remember loving it. So everything that's like very niche, like Japanese, like what is Agretsuko about? It's about an office thing, right?
Agretsuko is an over-exaggerated parody of an accountant. She's 25, she works in an accountant, and she hates her job.
I
And
love that
they're
premise.
all because they're parody. So there's her boss is a literal and figurative pig. But they're not actual animals, they're just metaphor. But that's why it's great about it. And they're like, because I mentioned to some people, they know about this show, which were actually 2-minute shorts between program in television here a few years ago, and then Netflix used their own semi-infinite money to fund this amazing show, and they're like 10 episodes per season, and they're 15 minutes only per season, and there's 4 seasons in total. So
You sold me.
it's fast, amazing.
I love short shows that are short and good and sweet. I'm definitely gonna check it out. um, so, how about you, Matt? What have you been watching?
So, ever since April 29th, I've been away on traveling southern Japan. So I haven't really had much time to watch stuff, but I was able to sneak in a viewing of Doctor Strange, like Felipe. I won't say anything. I'll save it for next week. But I also have seen it already. Today I watched the newest episode of Spy Family. I usually say Spy X Family. I'm one of those guys who adds the X because the title is Spy X Family, but whatever.
Spy X? I've never heard of that. What is it?
It's a manga.
It's like the biggest anime series right now this season. Well, the most hyped up one.
Until Chainsaw Man comes out. It's a story about this. Wait, I'm confused now because I didn't start yet. I think the guy is a spy, right? And
The
mom
guy is the spy. So
yeah, and the mom is a family. So he needs to pretend to be a family. And their daughter is a psychic who can read both of their minds to know their real intentions, that they're fake. So there's shenanigans all over the place.
Okay, and it's the number one anime right now this season.
Most
it's
likely.
It's one of the
hyped up
biggest.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah,
biggest.
until-
And it's because
one
of
of the biggest.
the girl and the daughter.
The
The
daughter is the cutest thing ever. I'm like, I don't care how like testosterone filled of a guy you are. If you don't go like, oh my god, this kid is the cutest thing ever, you have no soul.
Have you? Do you know the manga Yotsuba from
Yes.
the guy who made Azumanga Daioh?
Hell yeah.
I loved Yotsuba just because she was the cutest thing ever. I was like, I would read it and she was so adorable, so I can totally relate to what you're saying. So honestly, this is blowing my mind just because I used to follow anime a lot, and I've just kind of like Joey from the Trash Taste podcast, kind of like stopped watching anime, even though he's the anime man. I just fell off anime the last year or two. I just watched like the big stuff. So another reason why I did want to do this podcast is because Felipe and now Matt, you guys know a lot more than me about anime now. So I will welcome your recommendations.
Actually, I mean, I'd like to add that similar to what you said, me too, I've been watching less and less. But unlike you, you said you watch only the biggest. That's a lie because you're not watching One Piece.
By biggest, I meant the biggest of the current season, and One Piece, because it's been the biggest for like 25 years, no one really considers it the biggest of the season. It's just that thing that's always there, that will live forever. It's like, the groundhog under your house that, he's just there. You're
That's
hoping that one day he's gonna leave, or that he's gonna die, but
It'll be the
he's
best
still
thing.
there.
It'll be the best thing ever until it isn't. But yes. So that's one of the things I have been keeping the manga only, not the anime. But the second latest episode, 1015, broke the internet again. Being directed for the third time by Megumi, I think Ishitani. It was the same girl who directed the last episode of Dragon Ball Super with the Crazy Flash.
Really?
After she graduated, and she has so much potential, so much talent. It's freaking amazing.
I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Super. I was just thinking about it yesterday. I was like, I miss waiting every week to watch like the tournament of Power, I think it was, or the tournament of World or whatever.
Tournament of Power, right?
Yeah, tournament of Power. Before we talk more about anime, since you guys brought up Marvel, I did watch something Marvel related called Moon Knight.
Moon Knight?
I have finished Moon Knight, and I have a lot of things to say about it. I don't know if you watched it, Felipe.
No, I have not watched yet. I could try find other means.
6 episodes.
I know, but I could find other means, but I don't have Disney Plus, and I don't have time to find these other means at the moment because I have other things to do.
Okay.
So, but it's on my list. I really want to catch up on the whole phase 4 because that's opening up so many discussions and so many cans of worms.
Okay, no, you don't, you know, I saw where you were going there,
I saw where you were going.
I saw where you were going.
I control myself, don't worry.
Just so you know, Matt, and Felipe is like the complete opposite of me. I am a spoiler freak. Like, you're gonna say one thing, and I'm gonna overanalyze it in my head until I guess the spoiler. So, but I did want to say I think you have to get Disney Plus because not only you have Moon Knight to catch up on, but there's Obi-Wan starting, and I'm sure Matt and I are gonna want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Oh God, Obi-Wan, man, the new
This
trailer
month.
that came out this weekend. Oh,
I only watched the first trailer, and actually we can open a tangent about spoilers in general because I know Felipe has a different opinion. I decided I'm not gonna watch Disney trailers anymore. Disney officially said they said that like putting spoilers in a trailer sells more tickets, and the Doctor Strange 2 trailer broke my heart that I watched it. That it put a huge spoiler in that trailer. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want any acknowledgement whatsoever. All I know is that after Doctor Strange 2 trailer, I promised myself I'll never watch a Disney trailer again.
I wanted to hear what this like after you watch it so you can see what was a spoiler or not because I'm not sure.
Felipe, I do want to have this debate about is it good? You know, should we have spoilers in trailers? Does it create hype? Or
Depends. If it's a movie breaking twist, no. Like this goes back to like the Batman versus Superman Doomsday review. That should not have been in the trailer. But no,
that should not have been.
Yeah, that's one thing. But it depends on what the thing is. Like if it shows Superman, I mean nobody thinks he's going to die, right? But that's one type of spoiler because it's the comics. But Doomsday is like different, like levels of spoiler. But we'll get there.
This is a perfect example that you just brought up. Because I remember clearly watching Batman v Superman and being bored because I was like, so when's the Doomsday gonna show up? I already know he's the bad guy, and he shows up at the very end. So it literally makes every bad guy before him, like the shitty Lex Luthor, a lot less, you don't care about them because you're like, you know Doomsday and Wonder Woman are showing up after. Wonder Woman 2 was spoiled in the trailer. She shows up, the first time you see her in her costume was in Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah.
And they show that in all the promotional like trailers. They were showing that. Now you see, the one that I always take as an example is Thor Ragnarok. I was extremely disappointed when they show the Colosseum scene and they show the door open and Thor is like, who am I gonna have to fight? And it's the Hulk. It's War Hulk. It's Hulk with his war armor, and I would have loved to get that surprise watching the movie. And that until today I'm pissed about that because in the movie it happens halfway through the movie, and they hype up the scene that you're not supposed to know who's coming out of the door. But you know because you watched the fucking trailer. You know what I mean? Like, and Thor Love and Thunder. I did not watch a single trailer, not a teaser, not anything. No, because it came out after Doctor Strange 2, and Doctor Strange 2 was the nail on the coffin for me.
I will say that if you do want to keep spoiler free for Love and Thunder, maybe step out of the theater when you watch Doctor Strange, because it's like the first trailer that they show.
Yo, another 100 points for Gryffindor for Matt, because just because you said that, I think I'm gonna go in like 10 minutes after the beginning of the movie, like at 10 minutes after the showtime.
You run the risk sacrificing.
If you're that serious,
Or
about spoilers, just letting you know.
Or I could actually Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I remember I really didn't want to watch any trailers. I was really hyped for it, and in the theater I blocked my ears and closed my eyes because they were showing that trailer.
There you go.
Then
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, I already have my tickets for Tuesday. I legit can't wait. Like I've been waiting for Doctor Strange 2 and Thor: Love and Thunder for literally at least 2 or 3 years. Like since they announced them, I couldn't wait. Anyways,
for me, it was the Spider-Man. For me, it was Spider-Man and this Doctor Strange movie. Those two were the ones that I've been waiting for years. So for them to finally be out, both of them are like, I'm happy, and I'm happy. All right.
Yeah, Spider-Man: Far From Home. It's good that you bring it up because in the trailer they don't show you the spoiler alert 3 Spider-Man together, right?
Right.
No.
Like that's like the Doomsday scene in like Batman v Superman. They show you the scene that everyone pays for.
They don't show the Spider-Man. They're only showing now because of the DVD and Blu-ray releases, but they weren't showing that the original trailers.
The original trailers, they digitally took out the 2 other Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I was pissed because one of my friends told me that because from the Brazilian trailer, right?
Yeah.
That there was a Brazilian trailer where you see the lizard being punched by an invisible person.
You can see the lizard going like this, going like, oh, and everyone was like, "Well, this looks weird."
Even though they still spoiled a lot of things in the No Way Home trailer, like we already knew so much about it. I give props to Sony for at least trying not to spoil the biggest surprise of the movie, the trailer.
Yeah.
Which, is anyway, I'm not gonna go back to the Doctor Strange, but that trailer for me, I'm done with Disney trailers. So Obi-Wan, I did not watch the latest trailer, but I've been catching up on Clone Wars. I'm using a guide that makes you skip fillers.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
this
what?
guide, yeah. So basically,
I know that guide. I almost used that guide when I watched the series. I was like, okay, do I use the guide or do I just watch everything fillers included? And I decided to watch all of it. But I'm like, I don't know, should I have? But I did. I watched all the filler, even the useless R2-D2 C-3PO filler. I was like, yeah.
Well, the thing is a filler for something that doesn't have a manga.
So basically, Clone Wars, it came out in the era like mid 2000s, where every series had to have 26 episodes. So there were a lot of episodes that had nothing to do with the main story. There was literally like, okay, we have to. It was technically marketed as a children's cartoon, right? But the episodes that I watch, by like the ones that the guide make me watch, they're so political. There's so many adult themes that I'm blown away by how good Clone Wars is, just because I'm only watching the good episodes.
Yeah, that guide makes you only watch the good ones.
And not only that,
season 1 and 2, if you watch all of them, you can tell that they were like, okay, this is for kids. We're gonna keep it pretty basic. But like, starting from like season 3 until all the way to the end, they were like, okay, let's make this a little bit more adult. So like the dads and the moms can enjoy it while the kid watches it too. It gets much better season 3 onward.
Talking about season 3, the guide, the first episode it makes you watch is episode 1 of season 3. Because the guide also tells you the chronological order, and episode 1 of season 3 happens before all the episodes. And the title of the episode is The Bad Batch. Does it ring any bell to you, Felipe?
Kinda, a little bit. I need to
Disney
catch up. Rewatch the whole show.
That's why you have to
You're
subscribe.
disappointing me, Felipe. You're
Felipe,
disappointing me.
You know Disney Plus is like $7 per month, right? And we're gonna be talking about Disney Plus shows every week for the next at least 2 months. So
Yeah, might have to.
otherwise, we might have to pitch in and buy you a subscription or something. But Felipe, The Bad Batch was the only cartoon, Star Wars cartoon, that Disney released in the last, since they got the they released basically season 7 of Clone Wars, because the first 6 seasons were created before Disney bought Star Wars, and because it's Dave Filoni, you know Dave Filoni, right, Felipe? So we have to start there. Dave Filoni for me is like literally the greatest thing that could have ever happened to Star Wars, because I hated Star Wars after episode 9. I was like, I never want to hear about Star Wars again. And I watched The Mandalorian, and I forgave everything bad that Disney did. I was like, Mandalorian is so good, and it's because Dave Filoni created it. And then I dug deep. I literally became a Star Wars fan again, or for the first time, to be honest, because of how much I loved Mandalorian. And Dave Filoni created the Clone Wars TV show. So when I'm watching all of the good episodes, the last episode that I watched was all about the first time you see Mandalore and the Mandalorian planet and all of that. Just that alone is so worth it. Just to watch how the first time you ever hear about Mandalorian is in Clone Wars. So anyways, conclusion is I'm catching up because I want to know everything about Obi-Wan before the Obi-Wan show.
Good idea.
All right.
If you want to know everything about Obi-Wan, you'll have to watch Rebels as well, the follow-up series, but I don't know if you'd have time to watch both.
I watched the first episode of Rebels before Clone Wars, and I really liked it. I liked Ezra as a character, and I am planning on watching Rebels, but if there is a guide, because I can't watch 5 seasons of 26 episodes. That's the thing, that's the...
Yeah.
If I had to watch all of Clone Wars, I wouldn't watch it. I love Star Wars.
I had a lot of time to waste when I did that, so I don't blame you. But
well, my friend who helped us out with the stream the other day, he's like you. He told me me, I watched all the fillers. I'm a real fan. I'm like, well, I'm not a real fan because I don't have 26 episodes times 7 seasons to put it in this. You know what I mean? It's anyway. I could keep talking about Star Wars and Dave Filoni for a long time, so maybe we should switch subjects so the episode is not too long. So what have you guys been playing, if anything? Actually, please, before we switch to video games, you have to watch Moon Knight, Felipe, just because next week for sure. I'll give you until next week. So I watch Doctor Strange by next week, and you watch 6 episodes of Moon Knight, and we talk about both next week. What do you think? 6 episodes. I'm saying that because Moon Knight is in my top 3 for sure of Marvel shows, and there aren't many. But there's some scenes in Moon Knight that I love so much, and you know me, I'm a cinephile. I watch all the Oscar movies and everything. And Oscar Isaac's performance in Moon Knight, literally, he blew it out of the park. He hit it out of the park.
To win an award.
When they announced that Oscar Isaac was going to be Moon Knight, I instantly became hyped because I love him as an actor since I watched the movie called Annihilation. It's a recent sci-fi movie with Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson, which is Valkyrie in Thor. And this movie, Oscar Isaac is only in a few scenes in that movie, and he doesn't even talk. He has maybe 1 line in the whole movie, and I could never forget any of his scenes because he's such a good actor that even without saying a word, he makes you wow. And Moon Knight is literally him by himself, almost in every scene of all episodes, and it's just I don't know. I couldn't recommend it enough, Felipe. So you have to watch it.
So he's better. This show is better than Loki, in your opinion.
To be honest, it's more powerful than Loki, yes. For me, it resonated with me more than Loki. Loki, for me, was my number one Marvel show for one reason. Because I loved the concept, right? But there was still a lot of fluff in Loki. Like, there was still a lot of, there were sometimes some scenes where I was like, okay, not a lot. A few scenes where I was like, I don't know, it's Marvel-y. Whereas Moon Knight, I just there were themes that I found very adult themed, and like it's more like you can relate to Moon Knight more than Loki. But anyway, no, Loki is still my number one Marvel show, to be honest, just because you can't beat, like the whole time cop police of the multiverse, and with Kang the Conqueror at the end. But I would say that it's a close second, Moon Knight, and third for me is WandaVision. I mean,
WandaVision.
like the black and white episodes of WandaVision that everybody hated. They're my favorite episodes.
The first two episodes, I was like, I'm hooked. Give me more of this.
It's like I understand,
especially the first episode, because the first episode is so like typical 40s type show until the very end, where Wanda finally like wakes up a little bit, like realizes something's wrong, and I was like, give me more of this, come on.
I loved it also because it was finally something original from Marvel. Because I was not after Endgame. Honestly, I wasn't excited for anything more Marvel. I was like, I'm marveled out. I'm burned out on Marvel.
Yeah, I was burned out for sure.
And WandaVision was the perfect thing because it was so different than anything they had done before that I was like, you know what? If you're gonna do original stuff like that, I'm in. Anyways, so now we can switch to video games with the what have you been playing, guys?
The last thing I touched was a bit of Persona 5 Strikers. Yeah, I know.
No,
And
Felipe, I've decided. I'm really sorry.
no.
I'm not going to bully you over this. You're allowed to play what you like, and I accept you the way you are, Felipe.
I know. I'll get to it eventually. And of course, I'm a Street Fighter snob. I love my fighting games, but I haven't played that as much because I'm also been watching a lot of YouTube. That's why I haven't even watched a lot of anime and stuff, because I want to start Spy Family and a bunch of newer stuff fully in Japanese. I've been watching like
Yeah.
Touch and a bunch of other stuff only in Japanese, not even like English subtitles, because I'm in Japan, so I've been watching a lot of other stuff. But gaming,
So,
that's different.
can you just
What?
say the name of what you've been watching?
Like there's a few shows on Netflix Japan that is only here, like Monster. I put Monster on my list. That's one of them, but it's fully in Japanese. They don't have Japanese subtitles. I caught up on it. That's why I haven't been playing much, because I've been watching of like Japanese stuff and YouTube channels.
I'm curious, to be honest, dude. Like, we don't have to follow any structure. Like, we can talk about whatever we want. I actually did want to say I didn't say other things that I watched. I watched been watching two other things. One is Better Call Saul season 6. I don't know if you guys watched Breaking Bad.
Yes, it's one of the best shows ever.
Okay. Look, I swear to God, it's no longer controversial to say this because I've seen so many people agreeing with this opinion. For me, Better Call Saul, as soon as this final season ends, I'm gonna rewatch all of Breaking Bad because it's been a long time. But for me, not so far, in my opinion, it's better than Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul is the greatest sequel of any TV show I've ever seen.
But it's technically a prequel, you know?
It's a prequel and sequel at the same time because you have scenes that happened after Breaking Bad.
Okay,
at the
that
bit-
one you're talking about, yeah, but it's like reminiscing, kind of.
Sometimes you have intros to certain episodes that are in black and white, and you see Saul working in like an ice cream shop, and you're like, what the hell is that?
He's reminiscing. We're gonna see.
He's
by
not
the end.
reminiscing. It's because it happens after Breaking Bad. It happens. It's in black and white, but it happens in the future.
But like the whole show is a prequel, so he's either remembering not by choice, but we're seeing the past. So that's
Felipe,
is the prequel.
it's
So we're gonna
not
see.
all a prequel. There's scenes that happen that show you what happened after Breaking Bad. I'm telling you. Like, let me give you an
What
example.
are you talking about? Yeah, when he's coughing, he's already in hiding. Like he has a mustache and everything. I know.
How do you know? No, I'm actually. I like that you know that you're knowledgeable in Breaking Bad, by the way, so we can actually talk about that.
Better Call Saul.
So, the first scene of the first episode of this new season, it shows you. It's not a spoiler. Like everyone knows how Breaking Bad ends. You see the house that Saul had at the end of Breaking Bad being raided by the police, and like they're like taking everything out, and you're
Ooh.
seeing.
Spoiler.
And, hmm?
That's okay. Continue. I don't mind.
No. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Because I just noticed I actually did not watch season 5. I know season 6 came out, but I forgot which one is new and which one I hadn't watched yet. So I'm caught up out of season 4, so I need to start 5 and 6.
Dude, okay, you watched Better Call Saul up to season 4?
Yeah.
Okay, 100 point for Slytherin for Felipe. Notice how Matt is Gryffindor and you're Slytherin. Okay,
Like this.
so Felipe, I'm so happy you actually watched 4 seasons, because for me, Better Call Saul, the big problem with this show is that the first 2 seasons are way too slow. It should have been 1 season, because for me, I would even recommend some people who don't have time just start at season 3, because season 3 is where the show really becomes a prequel, because the first 2 seasons are about John and Jimmy McGill. It's about Jimmy and his brother, and how it's all about how it gives you an origin of how he became, Saul Goodman, how he went from Jimmy McGill to renaming himself to Saul Goodman. But the thing is that at season 3 you get all the characters from Breaking Bad. Like you get Gus, you get so many like big characters from Breaking Bad that come back. You even get the twins. It's action packed. So I would honestly recommend someone who doesn't have time and who liked Breaking Bad to just start at season 3. And season 5 is the best, the one that you haven't watched.
Nice. Looking forward to it. I'd like to warn people that I personally don't like Jimmy's personality. It feels like in the future he softened out a little bit when he met Heisenberg. Because, he is a prick through and through. He's an asshole. He's trying to cheat. For better or for worse, like attitude. He wants to do the best, but he wants to do shortcuts. So he's lazy. But he mellowed out over the years, like what we should say, right? Maybe he suffered through by the end of season 6 or 7, if there is such a thing, to get to the point where he met Heisenberg. And so it's like
I'm not surprised. I like that you said that, but I'm not surprised that you don't like him, because his personality is the opposite of Japanese culture. He's literally like a crook, right? And he tries to trick the system all the time, and he's like he wears like very colorful suits and everything, and all the other lawyers in the show, they're all like really normal suits, right? Because he's showing you like he's a star, like he thinks he's but the first 2 seasons with his relationship with his brother explain why he became like that. It's because he was all the lawyers, and every time he tried to be a good lawyer like all the other ones, he lost and got punished for it. So he got conditioned to like the only way for him to win is to be a crook. But anyways, like not to talk about it too much, but the reason when I fell in love with Better Call Saul was season 4, when you find out how they built the lab from Breaking Bad. So just so that you're aware, Matt, in Breaking Bad, they have this crazy lab where they're cooking meth, right? The whole point of the show is that you have this chemist teacher who's cooking meth.
Yeah.
And you would never ask yourself, oh, I really wish to know why they built this lab and how they built this lab. Like, no one cares. It's a plot point in season 4 that is literally one of the most fascinating and most interesting plot point that I could have ever imagined. Like they like this plot point that I never cared about became my favorite part of the series. And this is why I love Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad, and El Camino, the movie. He didn't make a prequel for money. He made it because he was so into Breaking Bad universe that he's like the Dave Filoni of Breaking Bad. Like he didn't create fan service with Better Call Saul. Like he created a show that made perfect sense in his universe. And I think Vince Gilligan forever is going to be a master of television for me. Anyways, so I'm glad we talked about Better Call Saul. And the last thing that I watched was 2 episodes of Old Enough on Netflix. Thanks to your recommendation, Felipe. The Japanese reality show about the children going on their first errand.
Yeah, Old Enough. Oh, it's so adorable.
I loved it so much. I like called my mom at the end of the first episode, and I called my brother, who my mom is with him right now. I was like, you have to show her Old Enough. It's the most adorable show. Like as a kid, my mom told me when I told her the concept. She told me she like used to do that with my oldest brother. She was like, I would tell the grocery store guy that he would be coming to buy like something, whatever grocery. So like the grocery store guy would be in on it, and then she would like send my oldest brother on this mission to be like across the street, and she'd like watch him, of course, by like through the door. And when I told her, I was like, okay, like this is exactly like Old Enough, which is small Japanese town where they like, I found it so cute how the mother is like, one of the mom cries because she's like, it's the first time that he's not like, going somewhere by himself, and it's just adorable. Yeah. One thing that I loved, and this is my selling point when I want to sell people on the show, is there is a guy who comments, like the talk show host, and he's like commenting on the little kid's journey as if it's like a soccer game, and he's like, "Hey, Daddy, he found a stick! He picked up a stick!" It's like just like 4-year-old child who just found a stick on the road, and the TV host makes it like a crazy exciting thing. So, anyways.
That is so Japanese. Like every show here has some guy going, "Eh, Nani? He did this," and I'm like, "Yeah."
TV shows in Japan is full of reaction shots and panels. Even Chris Broad tried to put like a brief second like panels here and here in reaction. Everybody.
The first time I heard a Japanese person say "eh" was when I was 16. I went to Australia for 6 months to learn English, and we were in an English language school with a lot of Japanese. And me and my brothers, like, we always laugh when we hear them say "hey." It's like I didn't know it was like a thing that Japanese said, like, as in,
like what?
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, we're officially done with what we've been watching. We watched a lot of stuff.
And playing a bit, partially too. Yeah.
I will say what I played real quick, before we get into the news. I finally finished Brilliant Diamond today. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Finally finished that. Took about 30 hours.
That sounds short.
Not the greatest Pokemon game in my opinion. But I never played Gen 4, so I wanted to play it through at least once.
How do you feel about the original? Because I played the original, and I haven't beaten to this day. I don't know, I got some ADHD and I just dropped. I think I'm like close to the gym, the Elite Four, and then I just never beat the game. But I remember like it was low.
When you said how did you feel about what, to Matt? We both didn't hear the word that you said. You said how did you feel about something?
I said pacing, like the speed.
Yeah. The pacing is real slow throughout the whole game. It's just a slow feeling game compared to the other Pokemon games. But I will say the Elite Four and the Champion are actually tough.
Really?
Okay, I've never actually had kind of a hard time with the Elite Four or the Champion. But this time, maybe my party sucked. I don't know. But, like, I actually had a little bit of trouble with the Elite Four and Champion. It's like, well, that's a nice change.
You just opened a subject of conversation that I really want to dive deeper in, because I wanted to talk about Pokemon Arceus. How I actually haven't finished it, even though I loved it so much when I started playing it. And I know, and like, you watch a Sacred Symbol podcast, Matt, so you know how Colin says people should finish games before critics should finish games before reviewing them, because what if something happens at the end that changes your review? Because there's a lot of video game reviewers that just play half the game and then they give their score that will stay on the website forever. And Pokemon Arceus is a perfect example of why Colin is right, because the first half of the game, I was like, this is one of the best Pokemon game I've ever played. And the second half of the game, it's like they just wanted to rush it, or they just wanted to, like, I don't know what happened during the development, but the second half of the game is just very boring, to the point where I didn't even, like, if I like, I'm gonna finish it for sure, but because I have to, not because I want to.
And kind of felt like that with Brilliant Diamond, because like I picked it back up to yesterday when I came back, and I was like, where was I? Yeah, I was in the middle of Victory Road. So I was getting to the Elite Four, I was in the middle of Victory Road, and I was just like, I really don't want to play this, but I kind of need to. Like, I just need to finish this.
Nice, you're a completionist like me. I mean, you have to finish your games, otherwise you don't feel good. Yeah.
Right. It's not the same, like, compared to this reviewer. Some games, like Pokemon games, for example, when you beat them, they unlock new areas. It's not the same as when you buy any regular good game, for lack of better words, like main consoles, like your Elden Rings, your whatever, your Last of Us. Those games that when you beat them, they just go to a new game plus and you go back to the beginning.
Sure.
Games like Pokemon or even Zelda, when you beat the game, you don't beat the game, you unlock new areas. But a point of completion for the Pokemon games is beating the Elite Four, the league, I mean. So after that, you unlock more. So should you play the whole game to find out? Because to get a full opinion.
Imagine reviewing Gold and Silver / Crystal without finishing Johto, and you don't know that there is Kanto right after.
Yeah, so like
knowing that there's Kanto right after is why the game is incredible, because you literally have 16 badges to get, whereas usually it's always 8 badges. You literally have Red and Blue included in Gold and Silver as a post-game content. And me, that's what I love the most about Crystal, and Crystal, because it was the first one I played. So I think if someone reviews Gold and Silver today, and he gets to the Victory Road, like Matt, because let's face it, Victory Road is boring because it's usually super long. There's a million trainers, there's a million random encounters. I think I've hated every Victory Road I've ever played. Except Sword and Shield, because you can see the Pokemon on the map. Alright, so we're getting into Pokemon right now, because me, Matt, I reached Pokemon Master Tier in both Pokemon Sword and Shield ranked online and Pokemon Unite. So I'm a big Pokemon fan. So and I'm the opposite to Felipe, which is why I like talking about Pokemon with him, because he is very single player mode of Pokemon, whereas me, I like the online mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
I quit Pokemon in Gen 7. Like, I truly quit. After Sun and Moon, I never touched Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
But Sun and Moon, I liked it though, because there were no gyms and they tried something new. What do you think?
They tried to have a different type of game with Sun and Moon. So, instead of the 8 gyms, it was 7, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't 8.
Like 4 or 5 trainer or whatever trials, captain trials.
Yeah, captain trials.
And Pokemon Sun and Moon has two of my favorite Pokemon songs ever, which is Nebby's theme, which is Lily's theme, which is like get in the bag, Nebby, and it's like anyway. I'll send it to you, but like I listened to like a little remix where because the whole game she's always telling Nebby to get in the bag. You know what? I love Sun and Moon. The story. It was one of the rare Pokemon games that made me like interested in the story. Just because you had interesting characters like Gladion, you had Lily. You find out like at the end of the game that Nebby, this little annoying Pokemon, was a legendary the whole time. Like the whole time you're traveling with a legendary. Like already that's something that no other Pokemon game did.
I like that.
And the post game is trending. Basically, the post game is the multiverse for Pokemon, with like the Ultra Beasts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what's the real multiverse of Pokemon? It's Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the remakes. Because when you finish the game, there's literally wormholes that open where you can go catch legendaries from other games.
I forgot about that, but yes.
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was a very, very, very good remake.
Very good.
In my opinion, yeah. And it's sad because I've argued a lot about Sword and Shield with Felipe. Like especially when I first got it, our argument was always the same. He was like, "It's a horrible game. They ruined Pokemon," and me, I was like, "It's the best online game that we've ever gotten." Because basically, if someone doesn't care about the online, if someone doesn't care about playing online, Pokemon Sword and Shield is a horrible Pokemon game. But me, I played it for like over 100 hours just online, just because they made it so that the competitive, like let's say a Pokemon's nature, for example, they made it so that you can give it an item and change your Pokemon's nature. You can give your Pokemon an item and change their EVs. So they made it way easier to have perfect IV and EV stats Pokemon, so that you can use them online and be, as. Whereas back in the day, until Sword and Shield, they never cared about the online aspect, and you literally had to hatch 200 eggs to get one perfect Pokemon. Whereas in Sword and Shield, you can do it in 3 minutes. So already just...
I like that aspect.
And like everything it's like they made Sword and Shield for for people who play competitive, And Sword and Shield even made me get into Pokemon Showdown. I don't know if you guys know what it is.
Yeah.
It's the browser game. And I started following there was only one North American player who won the Pokemon World Championship. Usually, it's always an Asian person. And this guy has a dude. I'm saying that no offense. It's just this guy has a Twitch channel where up until today I still watch him sometimes play Pokemon Sword and Shield, just because he was like. So my point is, Pokemon Sword and Shield made me discover a whole new world aspect of the Pokemon game. So for me, anyway. So but Arceus, the reason why I really don't like the second half is because you realize that it's a very empty world, and I really think that it was a beta version for Scarlet and Violet, the new gen that's coming out. Because Violet and Scarlet is going to have the same mechanics as Arceus, except it's actually going to feel like a populated world. Whereas Arceus, after you've seen a couple of areas, it feels like you're playing a big open world game where they put nothing in it. Know what I mean?
Yeah, some like most open world games.
But way
just
worse.
Empty.
But imagine but worse, because Nintendo, Game Freak had never made an open world game again, and it's almost like they were like, it was like their guinea pig, but they still sold it full price. And and then after they made, it sold like tons and tons and tons. Then they announced Scarlet and Violet for the end of. It's the first time we get two new Pokemon games in the same year that are not like a shitty spin-off. Like these are two big Pokemon games the same year.
But Arceus had also like a free download patch, didn't it?
Yeah, but that doesn't fix the fact that it's an empty.
Yeah.
The free
It
patch, what
doesn't
it
really
did,
help the main issue of the game.
the free patch is literally like, you can go to this island and find a legendary. It doesn't change that the second half of the game is boring as hell, and there's no online mode. So even for people like me who could forgive them and just focus on the online mode, there was no online mode. There's literally no reason for me to ever play this game again.
I was thinking of starting Arceus soon because I just beat Brilliant Diamond. I don't know. Now I'm like, maybe I'll just take a break from Pokemon for a bit. Maybe I'll go back to my Persona 5 Royale run and finish that first. That's a long game, and I'm like, I'm not even halfway through that run. Oh God.
Yeah, I really hope I can get to play Royal one day. It's just it's such a time investment to play Persona. It's like 170 hours to 100 hours, especially when you've already played the game. Anyway, but
Yes.
just to finish the Pokemon subject is, you know how you said I'm going to take a break off Pokemon? You can't, because at the end of the year, Violet and Scarlet are going to come out, and they look
Right, so I
incredible.
need to finish. Yeah, I need to finish Arceus before Violet and Scarlet come out.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said you want to sell your Arceus, is because the only reason I want to finish it is to sell it, because without online, and I hate selling my games because I like collecting physical boxes,
Yeah.
and this game I'm like, I never want to touch it again. So it's literally just for like as a decoration. How do you say that?
Decoration.
Just as decoration.
Yeah, just for like home aesthetics. That I would have it. So like,
Personal
I was like,
achievement. I beat this
yeah.
game
Anyway,
myself.
so that was the all right. That was the what you've been playing. I actually did play something that is very very current to the game industry right now, which is Overwatch 2 closed beta. I received the email invite. I signed up when they opened the closed beta subscriptions. And me, Felipe, I was a very big Overwatch 1 player. On PlayStation, I have 600 to 700 hours. And I made a lot of real life, I made a real good friend just from playing this game who lives in Ohio, and that we've been like texting each other for 5 years, and like just from like I used to have like at the beginning of the pandemic, I used to have a lot of friends in Overwatch, so I was really excited for Overwatch 2. Everyone's been waiting it for years, but Activision-Blizzard, which actually leads to the news. I'm going to talk about Overwatch 2 and then we switch to the news, because Activision-Blizzard is the one who right now is still in control of Blizzard, because the deal with Microsoft has not gone through yet legally. It's not Microsoft doesn't own they don't control Blizzard yet, right? So this open beta of Overwatch 2, I think it was a huge mistake that they released it, because the game was supposed to come out in 2023. And they were like, I know you guys have been waiting for years, so we're going to do an open beta, a closed beta, just for like the real fans, so you can get to play it early, so everyone's happy. But the game is so not ready that it like literally made me like doubtful that like the game right now is very very unbalanced, and it made me from being hyped for Overwatch 2 to not wanting to play Overwatch 2, because the beta is not
like more like Overwatch 1.5, right? I heard there's really not that many changes so far.
Even me who got to platinum tier, I had to watch a video of someone like this channel with like 1 million subscribers on Overwatch, who had to explain to me what was different about the game, really, because the game looks exactly the same graphically, and they added like a couple of maps for this closed beta, and there's one new character, and they did what I liked the most just from playing it myself was 3 of the characters got completely reworked, and before the Overwatch was 6v6, and they changed it to 5v5 like League of Legends. And they removed, you had 2 tank, 2 DPS, 2 healers, and now it's only 1 tank. And basically, it completely changes the game. It's a completely different game. But I only realized this now because I watched this video of this guy explaining why it's a completely different game, because the same maps that we had before, they opened them up. So back in the day, it was 6v6 and you had to stay with your team, and winning or losing depended on how lucky you were on your teammates. So now they removed the tank and they opened up like space in the map, so you can, instead of having 1 path and 1 secret path, you have like 4 paths. So you can't have an entire team just standing in 1 path and blocking it with 2 tanks. So in that aspect, it's a completely different game because they changed it from being a team-based game to an individual-based game. So now, if your team sucks, but you're really good, now you can actually still win the game. Whereas back before, if your team sucked, you were pretty much done for, because the team was so much more important. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, Overwatch 2, I love it. I love that they're going in that direction, because Overwatch 1, like, I stopped playing it because I was like, I need a real team that I play with. Otherwise, if I play with random people, it's literally a roll of the dice.
But do you think this was necessary to just add a new patch or DLC or a mode?
And this is why I am talking about Activision.
Yeah, Activision is the one that's like, you need to make a sequel. They did the same thing with Destiny. Back when Destiny was still controlled by Activision, Activision was the reason why the sequel had to come out. Instead of Destiny just getting updates all the time, they're like, we need a sequel, we need Destiny 2. And it's like, no, you guys really didn't. You guys could have just kept the normal Destiny game and just did a big Destiny 2 upgrade instead. But Activision wants their money.
That's actually fascinating, because earlier this week I was wondering, whatever happened to Destiny 1? I don't know anything about Destiny, but I do know that I never heard about Destiny 1, but everybody loves Destiny 2. So this is the background.
Servers are still up. You can still play Destiny 1 to this day. And some people still do. Some people still play the original Destiny because they prefer to Destiny 2, but yeah, that's still working.
This actually leads us to the news, but one closing statement on Overwatch 2. I think in a year, Overwatch 2 is going to be a really great game, but by releasing it now, I know a lot of video game critics that are saying they're really disappointed by the game. And even some of my friends are like, Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch 1 again. One of my friends even said, oh, it's like Cyberpunk all over again. I was like, no. Cyberpunk, the official release of the game was horrible. This is a closed beta of a game that's a year earlier than its release date, so it's okay that it's broken. But people don't really see, a lot of people don't see it that way, and so it's creating a negative impression on Overwatch 2. It's like it's hurting the brand. Like, this closed beta it's literally hurting the game. So I personally think, me and my friends, we actually went back to Overwatch 1, just because I was like, I want to wait a few weeks after they do a few patches, and basically that's my point. And this leads to the Activision-Blizzard leads to the news that they announced a World of Warcraft mobile game, and also they officially, do you remember the Diablo fiasco when at E3 a few years ago they said
you all have phones?
So Felipe, 5 years ago or something, there was a Blizzard con at Blizzard conference where they were like, and we're announcing a new Diablo game, and the fans went crazy, went nuts, right?
We're at Diablo 3, right?
Yeah. No, that was after Diablo 3. And then they were like, oh, but it's gonna be a mobile game. And then the fans everyone started like hating on Blizzard. They were like, no one wants a Diablo mobile game. We want Diablo 4. Or give us a...
Becoming the Konami of the West.
It's even worse than you think, Felipe.
Like, oh my god.
I was like, I'm so happy Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, because Activision destroyed Blizzard. Uh, Basically, the new World of Warcraft game on mobile that they announced, it's a freaking Clash of Clans clone.
Oh my,
Yep.
oh my god. Oh my god.
World of Warcraft, one of the most, literally the most respected MMORPG. Like when you say World of Warcraft, you think like a huge world. You don't think freaking Clash of Clans. And dude, Felipe, it's not even like an original Clash of Clans. They copied the same art style, the same everything. It's like copy paste of Clash of Clans.
Oh my god.
And the new Diablo game that they said for mobile, it's finally coming out this year. And they were like, oh, but we're actually gonna also release it on PC, because we know fans were mad. But it doesn't matter. It's still a game developed for mobile. And Diablo 3, back in the day, people were really mad that it was coming out on consoles, because it meant that they had to restrict the controls to a controller. Where Diablo 2, well, you needed a keyboard. So what I'm getting at is basically Activision, for me, destroyed Blizzard. And if you think about it, other than Overwatch, they haven't really done anything good since they got acquired by them. And I used to be a big Hearthstone fan, and I clearly remember Hearthstone before and after Activision. It became a 100% greedy game. It was like, oh, if you're free to play, you can still be very competitive and compete and with the higher ranks. When Activision bought them, it was like every month there was a new expansion you had to pay for, or you lost, or
Couldn't keep up. Like once they changed the formatting to like the different types of cards, where it's like older cards are wild cards, and you can only play it for certain duel types. And then each season there's new official cards that you can use for everything. And there's like new expansions every few months. I'm like, I can't keep up. I can't play this anymore.
Sounds like you guys going up and up and up.
I just want to thank you again for bringing Matt to this podcast, because every time I think he can't surprise me again, he surprises me again with his knowledge. Dude, like, just saying wildcard means that you know Hearthstone. Me, I got to rank 5 in Hearthstone. Like, I was really into it. And I bought two expansions, right, ever. And the second expansion that I bought was post Activision, and I bought it, and a month and a half later, they nerfed most of the cards in that expansion and released a new expansion. Meaning the $60 I had spent the month before became completely obsolete. And that day I quit the game. I was like, I'm never playing this game again. It's now pay to win. So anyway,
I played. Let's see. I bought the original. What was it? Like the original expansions were single player ones, right? Remember that? Where you buy the expansion and it was like single player dungeons.
It was called Adventures.
The early ones of those, because I was like, oh, this is fun. This is single player content in a multiplayer game. It's fun, and you get cards, and I was like, all right, this is cool. But then once they changed the expansion model, where it was just more expensive for less content, and I'm
100%.
Like, no, I'm good, thanks.
Do you remember that those early expansions, you could even buy them with free-to-play currency? And
yes.
Even as a free-to-play, you could still get free cards from them and free legendaries. And the second Activision came on board, nothing is free anymore. Everything you have to pay, and I don't know, just
you have to pay for everything.
For me, this decision to release Overwatch 2 early is the last cherry on the top of the Activision shitting on Blizzard cake. And I just can't wait. I hate big corporations merging, but God, I love Microsoft for that they're going to be in charge, because as a Sony fan, I trust Microsoft way more than I trust most companies, and because they actually care about their consumers, and I think they're gonna take Blizzard in a very good. Dude, imagine the headline. I was telling this to my friend yesterday. World of Warcraft 2, Game Pass exclusive.
Oh my god.
Now, World of Warcraft 1 came out in like 2004.
Oh my god.
The reason why they never made a 2 is because they keep making expansions, because making a 2 would be ridiculously expensive. But now you have Bill Gates money. Now you have a budget, you have a company that can finance you, that has literally just bought you for 80 billion, for 67 billion dollars.
Yeah.
What's another billion for them? That's nothing. Do you know what I mean?
He's too busy investing in smart toilets and other recycling stuff.
And this is perfect segue to Xbox announced their E3 conference, which is going to be on June 12th. It's going to be an hour and a half, and I cannot wait because since they bought Bethesda and Activision-Blizzard, they haven't announced any games. Like, they spent all of this money, but we don't know any games that are going to come out on Xbox exclusive or Xbox PC. And this conference, they said,
the only game we know is Starfield, which is coming out in November, the new one from Bethesda.
Yeah, and Starfield, a lot of technically, it was pretty much already finished before Microsoft bought Bethesda. So a lot of people are like, Microsoft doesn't deserve the credit for Starfield because it almost was a Sony exclusive. Like,
right.
PlayStation was trying to buy to give them money for it to become an exclusive, and now it's an Xbox exclusive. And the thing is, I was telling my friend who's a big Bethesda fan. The game is supposed to come out in 6 months, and we haven't seen any gameplay. I was like, I think it's going to get pushed. But he told me something interesting. He said, Bethesda has always been famous for not showing content, like gameplay, until soon before the game comes out. And now we just got the news that the E3 conference is going to have 30 minutes out of the hour and a half is going to be just Starfield. And Todd Howard, who is the president of Bethesda, is very famous for E3 Bethesda conferences where he announces like Skyrim and stuff like that, right?
And I still remember the Fallout 4 one. The Fallout 4 one in 2018, it was just like 45 minutes of Todd Howard just talking about the game and playing Fallout 4. That was the E3 press conference for that year. And they were like, yeah, we're releasing it in like October. So like 3 months. And they were like, thanks, bye. And I was like,
really?
Okay.
You see, that I didn't know. I was never like, there was a phase where I wasn't really following American companies like Bethesda. So so it makes sense. So I don't think now I actually believe the game is gonna come out in November. But Todd Howard has been putting the bar very high because he said it's going to be Skyrim but in space, and that it's going to be a revolutionary open world game like we've never seen before. He said he's going to revolutionize open world game like Skyrim did. And look, the bar is very high now. The bar is very, and the thing is that there were some leaks last week that I did not see what they were, but apparently some stuff about Starfield leaked, and I know that a Spawncast guy said that if it's true, it's going to be incredible. So there's even more, it's everything I'm hearing about Starfield is just getting more and more positive and hype. So that's that's the small news. So now let's get to the two big news items of the week, the main thing that I wanted to talk about with you guys today. The first one, I wanted to go through this list.
I think I know the first one. I think I know the first one.
The first one is something I actually wanted to talk to you guys 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's not what I'm thinking of.
Interesting. All right.
That was the pop-up that popped up on the screen earlier, the list. So you guys know that we've officially got a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yes.
Yes.
You guys know about the Nvidia leaks, right?
No.
Yes.
Which one?
Matt, no. So basically, Felipe, 2 years ago, Nvidia got hacked by a hacker group that wanted a ransom. They were like, you pay us this amount of money or we release the data that we hacked. And Nvidia said, no, we're not paying you. So they released the data. And inside was a big list of games that have not been announced yet. And a lot of those games on that list, they were part of the GeForce Now, which is a streaming service that Nvidia has. It's basically you can stream video games using Nvidia. Like you have to pay them per month. Not many people use it. So this was a list of games that would be basically technically coming out on this PC Nvidia streaming service. And a lot of people were saying, there's no way this list is real. There are way too many games on this list that are too ridiculous to be true. But in the last 2 years, every time they announce a new game, people have been noticing those games were on the list. But the biggest game on that list that people were like, there's no way it will ever happen, was Kingdom Hearts 4. And now that Kingdom Hearts 4 has officially been announced, now we know that every game on that list is actually legit. That list is a real list. So let's go through it real quick, because basically I wanted to do this because every podcast that I watch who talk about the Nvidia leak, they never show you the full list of games that were leaked. And I wanted us to go through it today. And I think, Felipe, I'm really curious about your opinion about a couple of those.
Interesting about this leak, because the only leak I did hear like a few months ago, maybe last year, was the Capcom leak.
Oh, nice.
Before many of the announcements, like Street Fighter 6.
This is way bigger.
Fight Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Untitled Resident Evil game, and so on. Only everything Capcom. But this Nvidia, I didn't hear about one.
Not many people heard about it. It's very much only people who follow video game industry. If you look at the stream right now.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah. It disappeared.
Yeah, because it's a slideshow. I just want to press pause. Okay. Is that pause?
But yeah, that was a big list. Oh my god.
And I even cleaned it up for you guys so we can go through it and without it being. Oh my god. Okay, it's going to pop. I'm gonna fix it.
Few technicalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties. 1
We're
minute.
normal.
Oh my. Oh, there it is. Can I pause it? Because it's a slideshow that I did. Okay.
Alright, it stays there.
All right, so let's go through this list. So basically, this I'm gonna give credit to it's a guy on Reddit that made it, and he's been updating the list with every new announcement. So everything that you see that has a little check mark means that it's been confirmed that it's true. Everything that has a cross has not been confirmed yet. So Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Edition was on this list 2 weeks ago, and no one believed that it would. Because this list are games that are going to come out on PC. It's very important. This is a very important distinction. So, Felipe, are you watching?
Yes.
So let's go through this list. So Horizon Forbidden West, there's a cross, because that's Horizon 2. But we obviously know since the first one came out on PC, this will come out on PC too. But look what's interesting on this list though. GT7.
Gran Turismo 7.
It would be the first Gran Turismo to ever come out on PC.
And coincidentally, it's the one game that has so many controversial decisions that the creators, they have like lame excuses, say like, oh, I want to make them pretend as if it's real life and making it slightly difficult. So they want to make it quote unquote realistic and difficult to buy, which is a lame excuse. We play video games to escape. So that is a lame excuse as to why they are charging up the ass for so many like in-game cards and such. It's ridiculous. Like, but Hey, they want to make money. We get that, but it's
At what cost though?
yeah,
Because
exactly.
I'll give you an example. One of my friends, he's like a huge car fanatic. Like cars are his passion in life, and he always loved Forza games. But since the PS4, he got for the first time a Sony console, and he bought a PS5, right? Because he had a lot of PS4 games, and he had been waiting for GT7 literally for like since he got the PS5. No, since a year before he got the PS5, and he was like, "This is finally the Gran Turismo that will rival Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport." And he was so disappointed by Gran Turismo 7 that he literally like forever from now on for the rest of his life this guy is never going to trust Gran Turismo again. So
I
this is
remember
the
religiously the first one, and then a bit of I think the third one on the PS2 era, and then that's it.
the
It was
thing
like
about racing games that there's a very big niche audience. Like there's some people who buy consoles just to play racing games. And those
just
people were, yeah,
the NHL and it.
like that guy after playing Gran Turismo 7, he was like, I want to sell my PlayStation and buy an Xbox now because I want to play Forza. I want a good racing game. You know what I mean? And this, I don't want to stay on this too long, but Gran Turismo 7 is why I'm really worried for the future of PlayStation
Oh my god.
because Jim Ryan says he wants 10 live service games from Sony by 2026. And if the example of a live service games is what they're doing with Gran Turismo 7, then it's not good. So anyways, I hope they learn. But look at this on the list, Felipe, we have God of War.
That's from
This list,
right?
so this
Ah,
just,
that's the fourth one. Yeah, the reboot. Okay, so
Yeah,
you
it's
just
the first one. First of the
when, yeah.
new series.
This just proved that this list is factual because when the leak came out, everyone was like, "We're never gonna have God of War on PC. Are you crazy?" And now you have Uncharted and God of War. So anyway, I think the conclusion to this is that from now on you can expect every Sony game to come out on PC. But look at this though, no Bloodborne, Spider-Man, or Last of Us. I
interesting.
think, I think this tells us that there's still some big Sony franchises that Sony wants to keep on PlayStation. And you know how Bloodborne, Colin is the one who broke the news that he was like, "Don't worry, you're gonna have Bloodborne soon."
Yeah, I just finished watching that newest episode where they rank the top 25 PS4 games, and he's like, "Don't worry, you'll hear about Bloodborne soon enough." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what? What?"
So Felipe, just so you're aware, Bloodborne, it's From Software, and even people who love Elden Ring say they still prefer Bloodborne. Like Bloodborne, From Software fans idolize that game, and when the PS5 came out, it's the only game that never received a next-gen patch up until today. So Sony refuses to release a 4K 60 FPS patch. And the reason is simple. They're working on a remake. They want to sell it to you. So they don't want to give you an improved version of the old game just so that to give you more reasons to buy the remaster or remake or whatever they're working on.
And they can still do both. Doesn't stop them. But
That's the thing. Do you see what you just said is true, Felipe? They can still do both, but they don't because I feel like Sony today is too greedy, man.
like this
Perfect.
do both is the same argument as when we were talking about earlier about the Pokemon thing, where I focus more of like in-game and story stuff while you focus on the online. They can do both. Same for fighting games or any other games. They can do both.
If Scarlet
Like,
and Violet is not both, then there's no hope for Game Freak.
We're back
mean,
on Pokemon.
every
No,
Pokemon,
we're not going back.
I think
Top-
every company at some point they peak and they start going down until they peak again.
Me when I was disgusted by Sony for one thing is Ghost of Tsushima. They made a director's cut for PS5, and if you had the PS4 version, you had to pay $10 to upgrade to the next gen version.
That's so stupid.
Do you realize how freaking cheap that is? At the same time, you have Xbox literally giving you all of the latest games that just came out for free for $10, $15 per month. And
It's the same with Horizon, the new Horizon game. It was the same thing. You're like, if you want to upgrade to the PS5 version from the PS4 version, it's $5. You have to pay us $5. And it's like, no, it was free for Horizon Zero Dawn, the Horizon Forbidden West. But they said this will be the last first-party Sony game that we do a free upgrade. From now on, all first-party Sony games, if you want an upgrade from the PS4 version to PS5, you have to pay us $5. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Look at your competition. Xbox is like, you can have all of this for free. Don't worry about this.
honestly, this makes me angry against Sony. As someone who has always been loyal to them, I've never been more tempted to switch to Xbox just to give them a big fuck you. It's like you can't treat your consumers like Colin says, nickel and diming them. Like they're literally counting the pennies when their competition is offering a revolution in the video game like buying market, which is you don't have to buy games anymore. I don't know. Me, when people tell me like, whenever people, if someone asks me what should I buy video game wise or anything, I will always recommend them buy an Xbox with Game Pass, because it's just crazy how, I don't know, it's just crazy how much better Xbox is right these days. Not these days, like Xbox, they show that they care about their consumers, even if they don't, even if it's just like an act. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Like,
yes.
Literally, if you do, like, for example, on Xbox, also they made this thing called Smart Delivery, which no one knew what it was until Sony painfully made people realize what it was. Which is, if you have a game on Xbox One and you have an Xbox Series X, your game will automatically update to the next gen version. And same for like other stuff like this. On PlayStation, it was for a long time a nightmare to know if you had the PS4 version or the PS5 version.
Oh, yeah, it was a nightmare.
And now Sony's trying to charge you for the PS5 version, $10.
Yeah.
So anyways, so we don't talk about this forever. Let's go to the next list. I split them up by company.
I will say I was curious, kind of surprised to see Ratchet and Clank on the list. Even though there was an X, I feel like Sony wouldn't... That's one of the properties Sony would keep on PlayStation. I don't think Ratchet and Clank will ever get on PC.
The thing is that if you're gonna release God of War on PC and GT7, why not Ratchet? Spider-Man I understand, because Spider-Man really sells consoles, and so does Last of Us.
Yeah, but like the new Ratchet and Clank is like the only PS5 game that I'm like I would recommend right away, other than Miles Morales. I'm like, okay, Miles Morales, maybe Demon's Souls if you like that type of game, and then Ratchet and Clank are like the 3 PS5 games right now that I'm like, if you have a PS5, you should probably get these.
I platinumed Ratchet and Clank, and I literally played it for free because Amazon is the only company where you can return anything that you buy within a month. And the problem with I loved Ratchet, but it was such a short game that I was able to platinum it within 2 weeks and return it. Like, but I did really like it. And Ghost of Tsushima I also platinumed. Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite Sony games, like first party.
Platinum the DLC and the main game. I loved it that much.
Yo, you platinum both? Okay. Just when I think he can't surprise me anymore. Alright, let's move to the next topic. To the next company.
You mean on the list?
Yeah, dude,
No,
I worked on this 2 weeks ago. I split the list by companies, so we could
Okay.
go through company.
Microsoft.
Okay.
Windows, anything.
Microsoft, there's nothing here really worth talking about.
Yeah, Gear 6, I don't really care. Halo 5 Guardians, that's a little old
Is that
these
different than a
days.
Halo 5? Is that different than the current Halo 5 Infinite, or?
Yeah, Halo 5 Guardians is, I think, 4 years old now. It was, yeah, Halo Infinite's the newest one.
Okay, next is Square Enix, which was the biggest one that I wanted to talk about with you guys. That was the main reason I put this list up. So, Kingdom Hearts 4, as you can see, now has a check mark. Look at the other games on this list, Felipe. I want your reaction on this.
Chrono Cross Remaster. Nice.
That we just got it. No, that's already out.
But still nice. Still nice.
But look at right under it, FF Tactics Remastered.
That's old. Wow.
That has
PS1.
FF Tactics is by far one of the best Final Fantasy games, and this is not nostalgia speaking. You remember Frank from the call center we worked at, Felipe, where we met?
Yeah.
He forced me to play FF Tactics. He was like, if you've never played it, you have to. It's a masterpiece. I got it on iPhone.
They had like tiles like this guy, right? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a tactics game. So basically, I played it on iPhone, and this is what I always say. There's certain things like movies, games, or TV where people hype them up for years, and the bar is so high, and there's nothing I love more than when you actually experience it and it goes beyond the bar. FF Tactics for me was that, and the fact that they're making a remaster is great news. But look at the biggest thing on this list, Felipe.
FF9.
FF Remake.
Wow.
So just so you know, FF Tactics Remaster and FF9 Remake, other than this list, this is the only place that we know that there's no leak, we would have never known about these two if it wasn't for this list, and they still haven't been announced. And I think FF9, the fact that it says remake and not remaster, means they're gonna give it the FF7 remake treatment.
I wonder why 9 though. I thought 8 was bigger.
9 is way more popular.
Is it?
A lot of people hate 8. Not hate 8, but a lot of people don't like 8. I didn't play it, but I heard it was very, I don't know how to say, maybe too lovey-dovey or something between the Squall and the girl. I don't know.
I never played it either, so can't say.
Look at this Tomb Raider anniversary, which leads to the next point in the news. So
very interesting with the new news.
So I don't know if you're aware, Felipe, Square Enix has officially sold Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. They're a mobile game developer in Montreal.
So, Felipe, what do you think? I know that Felipe is not aware of the news because we get to see a person's reaction that hasn't been you have this. Your opinion is yours because you haven't seen anyone else's opinion. That's why I'm curious.
I don't follow much because of other stuff I do follow, but like that, there's no like fluff here. The reactions are like, seriously, oh my god, that's kind of bad.
So basically, Square Enix just sold all their Western studios for $300 million.
Oh my god.
Just to put it in perspective, Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion.
Oh my.
And with those studios, they sold the license to Tomb Raider and Deus Ex for $300 million. That's a very, very low price. And the reason is, Felipe, is because of a game called Marvel Avengers. And another game called Babylon's Fall, but anyway.
Marvel Avengers.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
So basically, Marvel Avengers, like they had the biggest franchise in the world, and they ruined it. So Sony lost a lot of money on that, and apparently they lost something like $300 million, which is exactly what they sold these studios for. Which what I heard is that they literally sold them just to recoup that money. But they also say that they want to reinvest that money in NFTs.
No. Oh, I heard about the NFTs and other companies, many companies trying to do that. I was like, that's a sad reality. Anything can and will be an NFT at this point.
I was going to segue to the big news item of the week, but before that, Felipe, look on the screen. Your favorite company.
Oh yeah, my favorite company. Love to hate, hate to love.
You know the Resident Evil 4 remake rumors, even though it
That was
was never announced.
so it just haven't come out yet. Yeah.
But the only reason why people know about it is because of this list. It's the
No,
only
but
proof
that's
that.
the Capcom only leak I mentioned earlier.
Oh,
Where
that's
the
right.
yeah, Final Fight remake and I think Power Stone and a bunch of other old stuff. Most of which was also part of the fighting game collection coming in July. So there
There's
was
a
a Cap.
fighting game collection?
Yeah, this is going to include all the Darkstalkers, Pocket Fighter, Street Fighter,
What?
Red Earth is going to be included. Yeah,
That's a
Red.
great.
Yeah.
You see, that's me who doesn't care about fighting games. This got me excited. Just
So
because you get to play all the classics.
like actual classics and online this time.
And also, never mind. I was gonna say something about that, but I just forgot. So next
So
on the list is Take
on the
Two.
list.
Take Two, yeah, I'm like, I'll Take Two.
I am
I
excited
only
about
ever
this.
played.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm just saying, like, personally, out of all of these, I'm the least invested with Take Two, because I played the first Bioshock, I was like, okay, cool, but never played the other ones. And then I only play, like, GTA 4 sometimes. So,
Okay.
for me, I'm like, okay, whatever, with Take Two. Probably won't be able to add much to this section.
Um, the only reason me why I'm interested, I'm exactly like you, except I never played Bioshock, and the only reason I'm very interested in the remaster is because Colin from Sacred Symbols always says that it's a masterpiece of a video game, and I really trust his video game opinion. And like him and Chris Regan, they both talk about Bioshock as if it's like one of the greatest games ever. So I really want to understand why they think that. So I think playing this remaster would be the perfect opportunity for me.
They're already
Next.
out there, aren't they? Oh, yeah, but
No,
not the
no.
RTX remaster. Not the RTX remaster.
Is there even a remaster?
Yeah, they did a remastered collection where it's Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite um,
On
on
PS4?
PC right now.
Oh, really? When did it
On
come out?
PS4, yeah. PS4 and PC and Xbox. I think it
Damn.
came out 2020, I think.
Well, honestly though, like I really have no interest in the game other than just pure curiosity to know what the hype is about. So maybe the RTX I'll try it out. So interesting, EA leak. Three
Here's
Star Wars games.
Oh my God, yes. Give me that. Oh my
Mirror's
God,
Edge
yeah.
Remaster.
I love that game. That's one of the very few new franchises that I played because I always tend to play, at least in recent years, I try to play games that are continuation sequels, remasters of franchises I already know or grew up with. Hence why I don't try many new games. Also because of time and other life circumstances.
Yeah.
Like Mirror's Edge is one of the few games that I tried that's very different. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, I got because of my cousin, but it's very new. It's not related to anything else. Or even Days Gone, another game that I'm still kind of playing to this day. I got just because it was free on the PlayStation Store, but I'm still playing something new. It's not related to like childhood nostalgia. So
Mhm.
Mirror's Edge is like has a special place in my heart.
Me too, because my brother bought an Xbox 360 when it came out, and it's the only Xbox consoles I've ever owned because he stopped playing. Like he played GTA 4 on it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't care about video games anymore," and he gave it to me. So I only owned one Xbox console, and it was that, and it had Mirror's Edge on it, and I remember loving it. But I think Mirror's Edge 2 was, I don't know why, but like I didn't hear like great things about it, or
I haven't
oh,
beaten the game. What do you mean Catalyst, right? It's like a soft reboot already, apparently.
And I talk because I've played both games.
oh please, Matt,
I've played
please,
both games.
please.
So the original Mirror's Edge came out on PS3, and I remember buying it like it was like that game and the rebooted Prince of Persia were the first two games I bought for PS3 when I got my PS3. The rebooted Prince of Persia was the one where he has like this big scarf and like a metal hand, and the art style was like almost watercolor inspired. Like it looked really cool, the art style at least.
Oh yeah, I played
And
that.
yeah, so
Wait.
those are
Which
the first two games.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm just confused.
Yeah.
Which Prince of Persia game are you talking about? There was Sands
It-
of Time, then there was Prince of Persia 2, and then there was 3.
Time
Where he,
Trilogy is the original one. He means the first
Yeah.
one on the PS3 era, just titled Prince of Persia. Because if you think about the Forgotten Sands, it's like a sequel to the original between 1 and 2. So there's only two games on the PS3 era, and it's not the Forgotten Sands one. It's the one that has like a blue or whatever turbid something.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know this game existed. Like no joke. This is the first I hear of it.
It didn't do so well. Like
And
they didn't
to re-
follow up with it because no one really cared about it.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead,
apparently
Felipe.
they're trying to remake the original Sands of Time trilogy.
Yeah. Me, Prince of Persia I care about it just because as a child, it was one of the first video games I ever played on PC, the 2D one, the original. It was like almost black and white.
Oh,
I don't know if
that-
you guys know it. It was actually a hidden bonus content in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, that you could unlock the original first Prince of Persia from like 1996.
What?
Ooh,
I can't see.
let's see if I can reduce the brightness. Maybe it'll show up better.
Oh yeah, I see.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? Now the cover, I remember the cover.
Yeah, it was that one.
So Felipe,
So-
you know Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is not the first one, right?
Do you mean like the one in the NES or SNES that
Yes.
I think the video game nerd made a review about that once. You know,
I
like-
grew up playing it, man. It was one of the first games. I remember that game perfectly because my brother, like, basically we finished it together, and yeah. So me, Prince of Persia is a franchise that I love Sense of Time. So I really hope it comes back one day. And now I finally understand why it disappeared in the first place. Probably because this PS3 game was so horrible that it destroyed the franchise.
It wasn't horrible. It was just very different from compared to the Sands of Time trilogy, and like it changed the formula so much that
Hmm.
people are like, I don't know about this. So that's why it's taken a long break, and now the Sands of Time remake got delayed again, and it transferred studios back to Ubisoft Montreal, because originally it was being made by Ubisoft India, but something happened, and now they're like, no, the India one's not working on it anymore, Montreal's working on it, and it'll come out in 2023 now. And it's like, okay, well, I hope it does well.
I
Wait,
hope
there's
it
a
does.
Ubisoft India?
Yeah. So they
What
have
the
a
hell?
Ubisoft India studio. Back
Okay.
in 2020, yeah, like right when the pandemic started, they announced they were remaking the first Sands of Time game, and it was the Ubisoft India development office that was working on it. And then we heard a little bit about it in 2021, and then nothing since then until like I think just a few days ago they announced that development was switched over to the Montreal studio again.
I don't even understand why they want to make a remake of Sense of Time, because the way I remember it, Sense of Time in my memory still looks good. Even though it's a PS2 game, I wouldn't feel like I would need to replay it because of graphics. It's not like fucking like FF7 to FF7 Remake, you know what I mean?
The
I don't know.
reason rebooting is because we've had enough of Ass Creed.
Yeah, and not only that, like...
Creed! Ass Creed!
You know I've never played a single one of Assassin's Creed? Not even one.
Okay, minus 100 points to Hufflepuff. Everyone knew that.
Yes! How did you know I was a Hufflepuff? I that's what
Just a guess.
Pottermore.com, literally, I did the test and they put me in Hufflepuff. I'm a proud Hufflepuff. So basically, the reason why I never played Assassin's Creed is because the PS3 was the only console generation where I wasn't playing as much games. And also because I used to have, I'm not going to deny it, I used to have a bias towards American video game companies because I was always a big JRPG fan, and I used to only like games by Japanese companies, and it was really Skyrim that like opened my mind. Like Skyrim was the first real American RPG that I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. And I don't know, I like even Uncharted. Back in the day, I guess I got burned by too many PS2 like action 3D games that were just really bad. That I don't know. I know like Assassin's Creed is good and everything, but it never had that little special place. Anyway.
Yeah, number two, Brotherhood, and sure you could say up to 3 are good. Oh no, Black Flag. Okay, so up to 4 is good. Past that, you're like, yeah, so-so.
Apparently, Black Flag is like one of the best.
Yeah,
okay.
The pirate one is one of the best.
Felipe.
Because One Piece is the best.
Felipe, so Tekken 8.
Yes, Tekken 8.
I guess this was common knowledge?
Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but
is this the first?
Tekken 8, a new game. I mean, it's inevitable, but they might start a new saga soon.
All right. Let's switch on to the next. I think we're pretty much almost done. Then we only have one last news item. There's so many things to talk about, guys. I just like saw Batman Arkham Asylum, and I was like, you guys know that Warner Brothers was bought by Discovery, and that they're selling their video game studios?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I have so much to talk about.
The only thing is that they're not selling the licenses. So like if you buy Warner Brother Game Studios, you're not getting the Batman license with it, because they want to license out the franchises. But anyways, oh, look at this, Atlas. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out on PC. I finished Shin Megami Tensei 5 100%. I got all 3 secret endings. Recently too. I am a huge Shin Megami Tensei fan but I only played 3 and 5, but I love them both because 4 came out on 3DS and I wasn't a big fan of the art style on it.
I only played 4, so I can give my opinion on 4. I've only played Shin Megami Tensei 4.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne just got a remaster, I think, on HD remaster on Switch. That game was, for me, the first JRPG that I played that was truly for adults. You start off the game, you're in high school, and then 5 minutes later, there's the end of the world, and demons have taken over the Japan. And it happens in Japan too. So like you're going through all of the Tokyo, not districts, but like anyway, you have like Shinjuku, etc. And I loved Nocturne because it was like a Pokemon game for adults. And Shin Megami Tensei 5 is that like the perfection. So all the demons in the game, you can recruit them to join your team. So you're fighting a demon, and instead of throwing a Pokeball, you have to negotiate with them to hire them to join your party. And how you hire them is all different for all of them, and like it's basically instead of capturing cute Pokemon, you're capturing terrifying demons. And every Shin Megami Tensei has 3 endings. And depending on what the questions that you answer throughout the game, you can decide the fate of the world. And it's very important because people only give love to Persona, but I only played Persona because I love Shin Megami Tensei 3. And for me, like, Persona is a very different than Shin Megami Tensei, even though they have the exact same monsters. So it's basically like playing Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy Tactics. You're gonna have the same name of items, same name of like summons, but it's gonna be different game mechanic.
And they all have choke.
Exactly. So Shin Megami Tensei 5, I literally loved it. I don't have patience for long video games anymore, and this one really got my attention, and I recommend it to anyone who has a Switch and who wants to play, who likes JRPGs. It's literally one of my, I wouldn't say one of my favorite JRPGs, but it's one of my favorite in the last 2 generations, I would say. Like PS3, PS4. And Nintendo, right? And basically one ending is you decide to side with the demons and it's the end of the world, and the other ending is you decide to be with the gods and you're the good ending. And then there's a secret ending which you have to finish the game 100%. And the secret ending, I actually messaged Dustin about that. I never like talked to the Sacred Symbols people, but he said something because he's a big Persona fan, and he said on Sacred Symbols, I'm not fully interested in Shin Megami Tensei 5 because apparently their story and characters are not as good as Persona games. And I tweeted to him, I was like, the secret ending, if you finish the game 100%, is way better than Persona 5 ending. So the fact that the story is not as good depends on what ending you get. Anyways, that's it. And I think
one thing before we finish or move on to the last news is Judgment. I think that's never coming out, like you said, because of the legal dispute with the main actor. That's never getting ported to PC, at least the second one, because the way that Japanese talent works, or like Japanese actors work, is that it's so controlled by the talent agency. So like if the talent agency is like, no man, you can't use our actor's likeness in that game anymore, they're so strict with that. I don't think they would ever be like, yeah, that's fine, you can port that game to PC now. I think Lost Judgment, the sequels, is gonna stay on consoles.
So I've never heard of this game, to be honest. So what is this game exactly? What kind of genre is it? I never heard about it before.
Okay, so the Yakuza games, right?
Oh.
You know the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
It's same universe as Yakuza games, same city, same everything.
I see.
It's just an offshoot of that universe. So instead of you playing as a Yakuza member, you play as a former lawyer / martial artist who's now a private detective.
Nice.
And he goes around trying to solve some mysteries. Like the first game, the main mystery was trying to figure out the real killer of the case that caused him to lose his lawyer's license.
That sounds great.
It was a really, really interesting game, and I'm like, okay, this is a cool little twist on the Yakuza game style. I haven't played the second one yet. I got it. I got the deluxe version because, like, I'm a massive Yakuza fan, so I'm like, I got the highest digital deluxe edition of the sequel. It's on my PS5. It's waiting to be played. My backlog is so long. But yes.
Yakuza Like a Dragon. Okay, Yakuza Like a Dragon is the only very much interested me because they switched to a role-playing game, right? It's like a bit more like a JRPG. And from what I've seen from videos, I love the humor in Yakuza, but I don't know. It's intimidating to get into a new franchise like that. But all I'm gonna say is that I definitely see why people like it.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
would say, just to speed it up, last thing, if you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
want to try Yakuza, do Like a Dragon, because it's basically a soft reboot. Like some of
One
the
question.
original characters show up, but it's a soft reboot, basically.
The only thing that I heard about that game that turned me off a little bit was that it was too easy. I don't like games that are too easy. Is there a way to make it challenging, or?
There is a hard mode, so
There
you
is a
could
hard
just
mode.
always start it on hard mode.
Okay, then problem solved. One day I will definitely play it because, like, whenever I watch like goofy Japanese movies, I love that humor. Very, very you really have to like that humor to like it, and so I think I like it. Like his first weapon is a dildo, right? That you
One of the
get.
first weapons you can buy is a giant vibrator. Yeah.
And it's like a Japanese guy with like an afro, and it's like just the little that I've seen, I loved. So one day I'll play it. Okay, okay. So just for future references, usually we'll never go over 2 hours for an episode, but it's just because I had this list, I wanted to go through it 2 weeks ago, so it's kind of like 2 news weeks. And anyway, the last news item is not gonna take that long, so we don't have much longer. So Felipe, there's giant news. Are
Hit
you
me.
ready?
No. But
Jeff Grubb, which is a video game journalist and he has a podcast, he has leaked a lot of video game news in the past, and they always end up being true. And Greg Miller from Kinda Funny both said that they've heard from different sources that Sony is going to buy Square Enix. So the thing is, since December, I remember Jeff Keighley, who hosts the Video Game Awards. He said, "I have heard about a very big acquisition that is in final negotiations that I think people are going to lose their mind." And honestly, I've been secretly hoping this whole time it was Sony buying Square Enix. So I am personally extremely happy. I will explain why, but I first want... We don't know first, it's not official. Jeff Grubb himself, he said these type of deals, they can fall through at the last minute. But the fact that Square Enix sold all of their Western studios shows already they're looking for money. And, you know, if Sony comes up to them with $1 billion, if they bought Bungie for $3.6 billion, imagine how much Square Enix would cost. Final Fantasy XIV would be the perfect game for Sony to compete against Microsoft buying World of Warcraft. Because FF14, yeah, go ahead.
no, but, well, I'm just thinking that maybe they want to add this new Final Fantasy 14, 15, 16, maybe on the quote-unquote Sony Pass, the thing that they upgraded their tiers for. Maybe they'll start doing that for these games. And
We
maybe
did, yeah.
Sony also bought Evolution. They want to like monopolize certain things. Like they've been diverging in a lot of feuds. Sony bought Crunchyroll, they had bought Funimation, so they're controlling anime, for lack of better words. They bought Evolution, the fighting game tournament. So
Yeah.
because Sony, they won't have Smash Brothers, but because they might be buying Square Enix, maybe they wanna also try doubling down on a good Smash Brothers like game, Sony, unlike that 2013 flop. Which
I actually
personally
liked it.
I like the idea, but the execution was poor and the roster was shit. But anyway, another day we'll talk about Smash clones. So it's an interesting choice. I
As a
definitely
JRPG fan,
prefer the Sony buying Square rather than Capcom. They could even buy Konami, but basically they're just bringing them back home. Even though Square technically started doing stuff for Nintendo first, but they moved, so it's their new
they're
home.
they're bringing them back home. I love that. If we had to pick a quote for today's episode, that would be my quote. Sony is bringing them back home. What do you think?
Matthew.
Let's see. I'll keep it brief. I think Square Enix is trying to find money. I think Square Enix has a weird concept on money, because when the Tomb Raider games that just came out make like $2 million, which is pretty good. For a Square Enix game and a Tomb Raider game, $2 million is pretty good. But then they say, no, not good enough. The Tomb Raider games are a failure. They were disappointments. And I was like, but it made $2 million. What the frick, guys? So I think Square Enix management, especially the Japanese side, might be a little bit out of touch. So it might be good for a larger company to buy them out and be like, okay, guys, we'll take over now and streamline the process for some of the higher stuff like that. And for Sony to do it, that would make sense. I could totally see Sony being like, yeah, let's buy out Square Enix, because they're so connected already. Whenever you think of Square Enix, you don't think of Microsoft, you think of Sony right away. So it would make a real good sense for Sony to go after them.
I remember Colin, he used to say, he was like, why would they need to buy Square Enix when they're already getting those games exclusive already for PlayStation? Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Remake never came out on Xbox. And the reason I think it's very simple, I think they're scared that Microsoft is going to buy them instead otherwise. And that would be a huge blow for Sony if Microsoft buys Square Enix. Because David Jaffe, he said that he had heard that Microsoft was going to buy Square Enix. And when I heard that, I was like, I really hope it's not true. But the reason why Microsoft can't buy them is because right now they're still dealing with the American justice system to sign on the the acquisition of Activision-Blizzard. And apparently there's the woman who's in charge, the director of this government branch that takes care of mergers and acquisitions, so that there's no monopoly, right? Apparently she's not very happy about this acquisition because she doesn't want Bobby Kotick and his friends to become extremely rich from this deal of $67 billion. So they're already kind of scared that this deal is not going to go through, so there's no way they can pursue Square Enix. So right now is the best time for Sony to buy Square Enix, because otherwise Microsoft would make them a bigger offer, which they can't right now because they can't buy any other company until the deal with Activision-Blizzard goes through. So I think personally, it's amazing. I think Square, other than Final Fantasy VII Remake, we haven't had a good Final Fantasy since 10 and 10-2. I've hated...
12 is pretty good.
I was going to say, Final Fantasy 12 is when I started hating Square for their management, because I followed, Final Fantasy X was the first one I played, and then I was really eagerly waiting for 12 to come out, and it was being made by the guy who made FF Tactics, Vagrant Story. I don't know if you know Vagrant Story on PS1, and he also made a third famous game. So anyway, this guy is a genius, right? This director, and they gave him Final Fantasy 12, and it looked amazing. He left halfway through the project because Square Enix kept pressuring him to release the game on the deadline. They gave him a deadline, and he told them, no, I have to push the game's release by at least a year, otherwise I can't do my vision. And they fired him. And I loved the first half of FF12, and you literally get to a certain point in the game, like Arceus, where the game becomes like, from one moment to the other, the game becomes empty and really bad, and it's like, you really can see the point where the guy left the company. So I've hated Square Enix ever since then, because they're a greedy piece of shit company that literally ruined what could have been an incredible game. FF Tactics, for me, is the closest thing to Game of Thrones as a video game. And you know how big of a fan I am.
I'm coining this new term. This is the Kojima syndrome.
Exactly.
Oh, I think this is the perfect time, to be honest. Like, this is just an opinion, but in a sense, it feels like the stars are aligning. I kind of do hope that they go through with this acquisition, like that Sony does by Square. They'll be in need of a lot of money, and that's when Marvel, or rather Disney, can come and sweep and make an offer they cannot refuse to sell Spider-Man on all the rights back because of the most recent Mobius flop. That's another reason that they can't be continuing making their Venomverse or whatever and ruin and sink again. They're gonna make an excuse. We should just need to make any movie to keep the rights, but they should find, like, if that truly is the, what's the word here? Oh my god, I can't find the right word. Like, the stipulation of keeping the Spider-Man characters' rights, always make a movie, and as long as they make a movie in a certain period of time, they keep it. That's kind of BS. But if Disney makes an offer they can't refuse, when they will be spending a lot of money to acquire Square, Disney can just, like, take all this money and enough. Give us Spider-Man back. Not just because because it's profitable, but it's also storytelling. They want to do something good for the fans, and not just expect, are they thinking about their sharing agreements and all this BS? Like, on the long term, fans win. So just sell everything. So I think the stars are aligning. So please, Sony, do get Square, and the rest is
One question, Felipe. Many things of what you said, I have a couple of comments. First, do you know what the current deal of Sony with Disney is for Peter Parker and Spider-Man to be in the Marvel movies? Right now, the deal... Yeah.
Change. I think it was like 4 movies or 5 in total.
No, I mean the financial deal.
Oh, they changed it. I forgot the last one I had in mind. Something about...
50, exactly. They basically, Disney made them an offer they couldn't refuse, like you said. They offered them, they were like, we give you 50% of any revenue from the movie, and we make the movie, and we pay for the movie. So Disney pays for the production of the movie, and so technically they're literally told Sony, like, you guys are gonna do nothing and get $500 million every time we release a movie with Spider-Man in it. So, and the thing is, I don't think Sony will ever sell Spider-Man, because have you noticed, you were talking about how Sony's going into a lot of different markets. So we just got a Uncharted movie, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting a Last of Us TV show on HBO with the one and only Pedro Pascal, aka Oberyn Martell, aka The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's because he's in the... Look, by the way, we're almost at bingo. He talked about One Piece early on in the episode, and I finally talked about Game of Thrones. So my point is, now we also know that Amazon bought the rights, they're going to have a God of War TV show. And we know that they're going to make a Ghost of Tsushima movie.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah. So, I think the reason why they're doing all of that is because they're looking for their next Spider-Man, because Spider-Man No Way Home made over $1 billion in the middle of a pandemic, or at the end of a pandemic. So that's why I don't think they'll ever sell Spider-Man, because it's literally their most valuable franchise. And I heard Spider-Man 2 being made by Insomniac. You're going to be able to play with Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Venom. All 3 will be playable. So like they have big plans for Spider-Man, and think about it, they haven't even touched Miles Morales in live action. But there's still a lot of money to be made with Spider-Man for Sony. I think one day maybe they'll sell him after they've literally taken every penny they can from the franchise.
But Disney has all the money in the world. They can just really buy them back and like worry less, even more long term than that. Because Sony is diversifying enough, regardless of Spider-Man. They're being extra greedy here. Now,
I hope it would be illegal for Disney to buy Sony because they just bought Fox and they now own 35% of the box office market. By buying Fox, like Disney almost became a monopoly in movie theaters. Like right now, most movies that are going to come out in a movie theater are most likely going to be owned by Disney. Because Fox, there was so many franchises. You had like Terminator, Aliens, the X-Men, the Simpsons, like the amount of licenses of big IPs that Fox owned that Disney got by buying Fox for like actually 75 billion, so more than Activision-Blizzard. I think it's bad. Like they already have too much power in the movie market. And I don't know if you guys know, but when Infinity War, or was it Endgame, they were threatening movie theaters, Disney. They were telling them, if you don't show our movies in more theaters, more rooms, more screenings basically, and if you don't put more hours, you're just not going to have our movies. And small movie theater chains that only had a few screens were being given the option to either only put Avengers Endgame on all of the screens, or just not have Avengers Endgame at all, and risk a bad relationship with Disney. My point is, Disney, honestly, as much as I love what the content they've been making, they're a pretty evil corporation.
I know that. I didn't say they should buy Sony. I just want them throw all their money to buy Spider-Man. At most, maybe they can buy Sony Pictures from that. But I do not think they should own
Sony Pictures, though, is like one of their last competition. I don't want Disney to own everything in movies. You know what I mean?
Me neither, at least. But they do have all the money. They could just easily buy Spider-Man only.
Yeah.
That's a
if it's only Spider-Man, that's okay. But if it's Sony Pictures, that I hope would be illegal, because then they would become almost a monopoly in the movie industry.
They don't have the DreamWorks yet, right?
What has DreamWorks made in the last 5 years that was like, I can't even think of anything that DreamWorks made that's relevant.
Anyway, but yeah.
My point is, like, trust me, man, you don't want Disney to buy Sony Pictures. Spider-Man, I don't care. They can do whatever the hell they want with Spider-Man. As you said, more business. They're terrible. But anyways, so what else do we have left on the news? I think that's it, guys. We're 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think you guys have to go to sleep.
That's interesting, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff to catch up. And every company is playing their cards right. Win some, lose some. But I think overall, the most positive one is just Sony getting Square.
Yes. Now we agree, Felipe. That's very positive. Honestly, I think also Sony can't make Square worse than it already is. I don't know how they made a masterpiece like Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it truly shocked me how good it was. We'll talk about it another time, Matt. I don't know if you've played it, but I think it's a genius game.
I played the original version and the Integrate version on PS5.
Me too.
So I'm good.
We'll talk about it another time, because I have so many things to say. It's thanks to Colin. I had never played FF7, either the original or the remake. I bought the remake. I loved the first few hours, and then Colin said, if you have never played the original and you're playing the remake, you're an idiot. I was like, really? Okay, well, I have to understand why. And God, was he right. Because you can't appreciate even half of Final Fantasy Remake without the original. Anyways, then a story for another time, but I think they got lucky with that, because FF13 was bad, FF15, I don't know. My point is, I don't think Square Enix. I'm happy when a bad company gets bought out. Like Activision-Blizzard, I want to thank Microsoft for buying them because they have a chance of saving them. It broke so many people's heart to see Blizzard being destroyed like that, you know? So I think that's what we should leave each other off. So thank you guys. Next time it won't be as long. This is episode 00, Rise of the Informers.
Yes. Rise of the acquisitions. Rise of the acquisitions.
The last 2 hours and 17 minutes that we've been talking, for me, I would have almost paid to have this conversation because it is so much fun. I love talking about this stuff. And usually it's like I have to harass my friend who don't want to hear about these things just so I can talk about it with someone. So I'm happy to have you guys to just have this outlet where we can talk about our passion, you know?
Likewise. The next one might be your evening, our morning, Saturday morning for us.
Yeah.
We have our Discord server now, so we can just message each other there, and otherwise we'll figure out the time. But thank you guys, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully there was no technical issues and everything went well, and then we can post this on YouTube as our first post, and things should go smoothly from now on. All right, guys, have a good day, good week. Peace out.
All right.
All right.
Stay informed, guys, and see you next time.